Awesome.
as of
Yay. Yay. All right. Well, hello, Mr. Human, and
hello.
hello, Sarah, and anybody who is watching this right now. We want to introduce to you our guest for today, the fabulous, the wonderful Sarah Hoogenraad.
Hi.
Sarah, it is so good to chat with you. Former student who's doing awesome things.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Woohoo.
Awesome.
Can you give us a quick introduction, who you are, how we know you, and
Yeah.
where you are right now?
Yeah, my name is Sarah Hoogenraad. I graduated from CCHS in the class of 2016, and both of you were my wonderful facilitators who inspired me to pursue my dreams. And then that year I grew up in Southern California, and then I moved to New York to go to Hofstra University in Long Island, and I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater Arts with a minor in musical theater. I did 9 shows while I was at Hofstra. I was supposed to do 10, but the last one got canceled because of COVID. But it's okay. I'm not bitter. And yeah, so then after that, because of COVID, I had to go home for a little while. But then I moved to the city in August, and I live in Manhattan, in Upper Manhattan. And it's been really fun, like figuring things out here during COVID. Theater's really sparse. I did one play in Central Park. We did like a month run on weekends, and it was really fun. And then I have a bunch of really exciting things coming soon that are under wraps, but I'm really excited. And yeah, it's really been cool to kind of navigate my way of being a professional actor and being fresh out of college, especially during a pandemic.
Nice.
Yeah. What a time to be starting that. So
yeah.
Fun. Tell us a little bit about your process from CHS to Hofstra, and even that application process. And I mean, that's a pretty cool college to get into, and pretty cool, really cool. So just tell us about that process a little bit, and maybe your thoughts and how you went through it, and the things you did right because you got in.
Yeah, of course. So I really wanted to go to school for theater, and I knew that. And so I applied at like quite a few schools. And I was auditioning for all these schools. I like auditioned for NYU, and I got waitlisted, and I was heartbroken. And then I auditioned for all these different schools. I didn't apply to as many schools as I maybe should have as a theater person, because I just was like, you know what? These are the couple schools that I like, and so I'm going to apply to these ones, which was not really the right move. I have a lot of friends who auditioned at like a lot of schools, because there were schools that I was like, I know they're a really good theater school, but I don't want to go to Michigan, and I don't want to go to this state. And so like there were all these schools I didn't apply for, and looking back, I'm like, maybe I should have applied, but I'm happy I didn't, because I did end up at Hofstra. And at Hofstra, I actually like accidentally found it, because they're one of those schools, like I worked for admissions my senior year, and I know they're one of those schools who sends out a million emails, a million phone calls. I would sit there for like a 6-hour shift just calling people, telling them to apply. Like it's one of those schools that really reaches out. And I got an email from them, and I got like a postcard from them. And so it told me like to apply. They waived my application fee, and I was like, fine, like, you know what? It's in New York. I want to go to New York, and they have a really good theater program. I'm going to apply. I applied. And the nice thing about their theater department is you don't have to audition initially. So they have 2 different theater degrees. They have a BA, and then they have a BFA. And obviously the BFA is like a more, it's a more intense training, whereas the BA is kind of like a general degree in theater. And you can make it whatever you want to be in the BA, whereas the BFA, you have to focus on performance. And so I really wanted to get into a BFA program. And I looked into Hofstra's BFA program. I really liked it. I didn't want to go to a school that had a BA just because I wanted to get like that intense, like in your face training. I just wanted it really bad. And so I went there, and then the way that Hofstra does it is they do the BFA audition at the beginning of your sophomore year. So the first year was like me getting used to being at a big school and going from a school that had like 90 people to a school that had thousands of people. But I think the thing that was nice was like realizing that like at schools, like each department is really like its own
Mm.
thing. So like the theater department, like it's a big department, but like it's not that big.
Yeah.
And like my class had a lot of people. We were like the biggest class like in recent history, and even like out of the past few classes, like there just hasn't been a class as big as ours even from the
Mm.
past couple years. And so it was really nice like getting to know everybody and like us all being in the same boat of like
Yeah.
none of us know what we're doing. I have a few friends that are like from California too, like that we've all become really close friends because we all had the exact same experience. And like it was easy to make friends, and it was easy to be like, oh, we're all freshmen, we all don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Because I think going into it, I was like, oh my god, like I don't know anybody, what am I gonna do? And then it was actually really easy to find people, and like I live with a bunch of people that I went to school with, and um, yeah, so it was really fun, and like the BFA audition was stressful, but it was exciting, and I was like kind of I had to get myself to a place where I was like, if I don't get it, it's okay, but if I do get it, like I really want it, and I got it, and it was amazing, and like I got to have an amazing 4 years. So yeah, the application process was pretty weird because it wasn't too hard to get into the school. But it was once I was at the school, I was like, oh, this is when the actual like audition work starts. And like you have to
Ah,
audition every semester for a show. They don't just say like this person like they don't just do it like as an assignment. Like you have to audition every single semester, and like semesters you don't get cast and some semesters you do get cast. And but I really was blessed in my time at Hofstra, and I had an amazing 4 years, and I got to do some amazing shows, and I'm really thankful for like it really worked out.
yeah.
I'm glad I didn't apply to more schools because I ended up at the school
Mm.
that was like perfect for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
While we're talking about
That's
college, what are some things that you did in your years there that made you successful with your
Yeah,
time there?
that's such a good question. So, yeah, so the number one thing was I always tried to keep my grades as high as I could because I was
Mm.
there on an academic scholarship. Like it wasn't a full ride because Hofstra doesn't really do full rides. But I had like a lot of my tuition covered through
Okay.
academics. So kind of like a really important thing was making sure my grades were good. And so to make sure my grades were good, I had to make sure I had a good schedule because like I don't do well with morning classes, but I also don't want to take something late at night. So like I would have to like try to figure out like okay, but I don't want to take like all of my gen eds in one semester because then my grades aren't going to be good. So I would be like, okay, I'm going to take 3 theater courses, 1 dance course, and then 2 gen ed classes so that like it would average out to where the work would like kind of make sense. So that was kind of the most important thing to me was making sure that I was staying on top of that because I wanted to be on the dean's list and the provost list and all this stuff. And then I was on the provost list one time my senior year. His provost list is straight A's, which is like impossible. And I accidentally got straight A's my first semester senior year. And then they sent me a $50 Barnes and Noble gift card. And I was like,
Hey.
yo, I should have gotten straight A's every semester. But so that was really cool. And
Cool.
then so there was that. Like the grades thing was really important. And then also just making sure like I got as involved as possible. Like
Mm.
if I like my first semester right off the bat, I auditioned for a show and like I got into a show and I made sure that I like took every opportunity I could. And then like I made sure I was getting seen, and then I did another show. Like I kept like just doing shows and auditioning every single semester. And like there was one semester I wasn't cast in like a main stage show, so I auditioned for a club show and I did a club show. And
Okay.
and like just doing that, and then also like taking any opportunity I could to just like be involved. So like I TA'd one semester, I was cast deputy on a few shows, I was the host of the weekly cabaret night that we do at Hofstra every night at 11:30 p.m. Like my friend and I hosted it my senior year, and like I just wanted to make sure like I was doing everything I possibly could to get as much out of it as I possibly could. And when things would like be bad, I would just try to turn them around and make it so like there was this one class I really wanted to get into because they were going to perform this thing. I didn't get into the class and I was really bummed about it. And so immediately I emailed the professor and was like, "Are you looking for a TA?" And then I got to TA the class, and like it was like way different experience because I was like it was coordinating a performance, which ended up not happening because of COVID. We were like coordinating a performance at 54 Below, and like I wasn't in the class, but since I was the TA, I handled like half of the conversations with the 54 Below people, like setting up
Hey.
the show, setting up what instruments we needed, all that kind of stuff. And so that was like a really different and cool experience, and like it's something I was able to like put on my work resume of like I've done this. Because like we set up the performance. Like the performance didn't happen because of COVID, but like it was all planned, and like I did a lot of the planning, and so
So cool.
yeah, it's really cool. So I kind of just a big thing is just like taking every single opportunity you can and just squeezing everything out of every opportunity.
So
I love
good.
that. So good.
Good
the
answer.
Opportunity. It's so good. Well, and it shows. I mean, that's what you got to do, right? Is
Yeah.
be seen, and be known by name, not by hey you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think so the 54 below, that's a really good, because that's a connection beyond.
Yeah. And now I have all those
college,
right? So I'm like, well, if I ever need to coordinate a show 54 below, I know exactly who to contact.
Nice.
Wow. So we'll shoot for that. Let's coordinate a show there.
That'd be cool.
Night of Entertainment, 54 below. Anyways, yeah, we can dream. We can dream. Tell me about other opportunities that have come because you kept doing that. You kept saying yes, and you met new people, and so other opportunities that have come outside of college.
Yeah.
Because you networked and you met people, and you didn't just give up when you didn't get cast or put in the class. You kept going.
Yeah. So one big thing that's kind of like the cool networking thing was that like, so my sophomore year, the first semester of sophomore year, I did hair. And it was crazy, and it was set in a military prison, and it was like wild, crazy, but it was like honestly so much fun, and I loved it. And the director was Cindy Rosenthal, who is a brilliant like visionary. She is like one of the craziest, coolest people ever, and like she's got big hair. I don't know if you know what's that place called?
I think you have to if you do
theater. There's this theater. There's this big theater, and it's like an indie theater, and I can't remember the name of it. And she does a bunch of La Mama. She's like super connected at La Mama, which is like a crazy cool theater, like awesome. And so she directed hair, and I loved it. And I was in the ensemble. I did the song Black Boys. I did that song in the show. And so like I kind of was trying to take as much as I could out of the experience, and she was really great, and she's really the type of director that's like really one-on-one with you, and she's a professor. And so that semester over winter break, I was home in California, and I got an email from somebody saying that she had submitted me for a role for a show at the Drama League. And it was like a staged reading of this play called Group, and it was starring Jen Colella from Come From Away, Julia Murney, who's done a million things on Broadway. It was all these like legit people, and I sent Cindy, the writer had been a Hofstra alum, and she went to Cindy because she loves Cindy, and she said, who are some people I should look out for? And Cindy gave her my name, and I auditioned for the show. I did like a self-tape in my parents' room. My mom filmed it and read like with me, and then they were like, okay, we want to offer you this role. Can you be here like next week? We're doing it. It's a one-day rehearsal, and then we're doing the show. I was like, yeah. And so I got to do that, and it was like my first like really professional New York gig, and like it was cool, and it was great, and the show was really good. And so we did that, and it was really cool. And then like I went back to school, and then so like really networking and getting those people, like they lead to some really cool things. And like just like having that kind of mindset, like they hooked us up with like how to sign up for backstage, how to submit for things, how to build a resume. And like so right after I got to New York, I like submitted for this play. They were doing oh my god, how did I forget the the name of the play? Oh, Electra, the Greek play. Like this guy had written this like modern adaptation of it. And so I was like, hey, I know how to do Greek theater because I learned it. And so I submitted for it, and the guy was like texting me, he's like, hey, can you come to Central Park today? We're doing a cast reading and I need another person. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so like I showed up, and then I did the reading, we did the whole play, and then afterwards, and like I read my script, obviously it was like a cold read of a play. And the guy's like, hey, so are you free to rehearse like next week? Like I want you to stay in the show. And so I did the show. We did 4 weekends in Central Park, 3 or 4, and it was a lot of fun, and it was like really low pressure, and it was a paid gig, and It was really nice. It was great, and that was like the best way because it was like a few weeks after I had moved here. It was like the best way to be like,
Mhm.
okay, like I'm here and like I'm doing the thing that I set out to do. So yeah, like really, really just like putting myself out there has gotten me a lot of really cool things, and it's really
Yeah,
fun.
I
that's
love the
awesome.
phrase you said, I showed up. That's
Yeah,
what you have to
Mm.
do is show up, right?
literally.
Literally show up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask a question, and Sarah, Mr. Human and I for sure have seen your work ethic and your passion for theater. It is one of the
Mhm.
things that, well, we love everything about you, but as directors, we've seen you always show up, and you show up the same no matter what role you're playing. No matter if you think like, oh my gosh, uh, I'm thinking of Little Women, and and um, it's like it was the total opposite role, which
Uh-huh.
is so much fun to play the total opposite role. You show up, for everything, whether it's chorus or the lead. You are still in my phone as Peter Pan.
Yes.
um, it's one of the things that as a director is a dream. So I'm just bragging on you for a second and just your
Thank you.
amazing work ethic, because that's a really big deal for a director to have singled you out from everybody else in hair and say Sarah is
Mhm.
the one that we want. That's a really big deal.
Thank you.
So
Yeah. Cool.
that's a affirmation. And I don't know if there's more than that, but
Thank you so much.
but it's amazing, and that's the thing. That's super important is showing up and showing up the same and being
Mm.
passionate about being a TA or being in the class
Yeah.
Hmm.
or being ensemble or being the lead. Uh,
Hmm.
it's not a difference of how you show up.
Mm.
So awesome job. I love that. That's all.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
It's really
I think
cool.
I was going to ask a question and then it turned to that.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Where I have a question. I agree with all of that, by the way. It's
Thank
a
you.
joy always to work with you. Do you have like a philosophy of how you approach theater, like, or like a mission statement? Like, why do you do? Why do you do it? Why
Yeah.
do you do
That's,
theater?
that's a good question. I just love it so much, and
Mm.
like I love doing it no matter what side of it I'm on. Um, because like I've also like choreographed shows
Right.
and taught a lot. I teach a lot. I still teach, and I love it. And I love the thing that theater does for people because it's different than like any other art form. And that's the thing that's like the thing right now is like American theater is dying, and it's freaking me out because the thing is like you can't go into a movie and like see somebody sweating and breathing and living a moment. You see somebody like they filmed this like 2 years ago and like yeah, they did a great job, but like it's not real. Whereas theater is like real. And just being able to create moments that people can see and that people can believe and that in the moment when I saw Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway like back when it was like first opened and um seeing like Ben Platt in that role, it's like people get so like cringe about it because it's like, oh yeah, of course Ben Platt. It's like saying like, oh Lin-Manuel Miranda, like of course those are the people who are the greats. Um, but like
There's a reason.
exactly, there's a reason, and like seeing him. And he was like hunched over, and he had snot and tears and everything, and like he was just like the things he was putting his body through. I was like, how can you even do that 8 shows a week? And so just like seeing those moments like that's not something you can get from like anything else. And so um I think that's why I love it so much, and being able to just like be a part of like making that and making that real moment for somebody and knowing that somebody's going to see the show and they're going to like get this from it. It's the most like magical feeling in the world. And like a couple summers ago I choreographed West Side Story, and like it
Mm.
was completely opposite because I had assistant choreographed a lot of shows. And but being like the actual choreographer of the show, and a show like West Side Story, like I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And I had an amazing assistant choreographer, and she was a lot of help with like the dancey side, but like making it into this thing, because the thing is like half, I didn't think about it going into it, but like really half that show is set to music, if not more. So much of that show is set to music, and so making it this like thing that from beginning to end told this like beautiful story. It was one of the things like because I've done so many shows and I performed in so many shows, and like I have like this sense of pride about it and blah blah blah. But being able to like do that with a show, and then being able to sit in the audience with your family and watch the show was like the craziest. And it was like this whole moment for me where I was like, this is what I do. Because like usually when you watch a show that you're in, like you watch it on video and it's not the same because it's not live. But being able to just sit there and like live watch a show and be like, oh my god, like he's never done that move as well as he did just now. And oh my god, like he's never said that line like that before. And being able to just live it like that was so just like it was so great. And it really like it set me on fire to be like, this is what I want to do. This is the only thing I want to do for the rest of my life, because this feeling of knowing that like when I'm on stage, it's that exact same thing. Oh my goodness, I love it. And so I think just like knowing the main reason I do it is just like knowing what I'm creating for people, and knowing what we as a collective like ensemble are creating for people is the best feeling in the whole world. And knowing that we're giving people that catharsis that they can't get from a movie, that they can't get from a book, that they can't get from anything besides like a live theatrical experience.
Amazing. Wow.
Good answer. Good answer. Like stirs my soul.
I know. Let's go. Okay, that's good.
So, Sarah, what are some things you would tell people who want to pursue a career in theater in any aspect, or not just theater, but arts in general, music, dance, whatever it is?
Okay, so one thing that I think is really important, one of my professors freshman year said, first of all, I want you to all stop questioning if you're talented or not, because if you're here and if you're trying to pursue this thing, that means that at some point in your life, somebody told you are talented. And so that means you are talented. If somebody thought you were talented, that means you're talented. And so that was something I needed to get through my head right away. Because I was like, I went to a small school. What if I was just good because there weren't that many people? And like, you know, because like that's something that you think of. And so I was scared, because I was like, I don't know if I'm as good as these other people. And like, so that was something like she said that on our first day of that class freshman year. And like, I always had to cling on to that and be like, no, like, and it worked. When she said that, I was like, oh, okay, like I'm talented, like whatever.
That's good.
And so that's something that I think is the most important thing. If you're planning on pursuing a career that requires you to have some sort of talent, know that if anyone in your life ever told you you are talented, that means you are talented. And that means that you have something to offer as a performer, as an artist, as a musician. You have a skill that people want. The other thing to remember is that people want your skill. And that when you're going in an audition room, they're not there to be, they don't want to be like, oh, like, why is she wearing that? Oh, like, she flubbed that line. Ew, cross her off the list. No, they have a role in a show, or they have a spot in a department that they want to fill very badly. And they want someone to walk in and be the person they need, and then they can just close up shop and be done. Like, they want to find somebody good. So why would they even call you in if you were bad? Or like, they want somebody to come in and be good. And so that's something else that's important to remember, is like, there were semesters where I was like, I'm not right for any of these shows, but I'm just going to go in and do my darndest, and maybe I'll be the person they want. And sometimes it would work out, and like sometimes it wouldn't, and it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they're looking for a very specific thing, and you don't know what that specific thing is that they're looking for. They might be doing this show that you like have known forever, and they want to put this high concept on it, and you don't even know that going into it. And so when you audition for it, you're like, I'm so wrong for this role, but I'm auditioning for it. And then they're like, oh, actually, I was planning on casting a woman for this role, so here we go. Or things like that. And so Just I think knowing you're talented, being confident in that talent, and not needing. It's so nice to hear things from other people that you're talented, but not needing that, which is like the hardest thing, because we all love affirmations as like performers, and it's really important to not need those affirmations and to just be confident in the fact that you are talented, and then just knowing you have something to give and they want it, and maybe this person doesn't want it, but somebody down that line is going to be looking for the thing that you have, and just remembering that, and remember that if they don't want the thing you have, it's not a big deal because somebody else will, and it's not the end of the world because you still have so much to give, and as long as you're confident in what you have to give, eventually somebody's going to want what you have to give.
Yeah. So good.
So good.
So good. Okay, in our last 5 minutes, so we're in a pandemic right now.
Yes.
In
We are?
In case you weren't aware of that. I know, right? I'm glad I was able to tell you, let you know. What are some ways that you have continued with any form of creativity during the pandemic? And then what would you say for people aspiring to do art in general, whether to create something creative? What would you encourage? So what are you doing and what would you encourage?
Yeah, so it's been a while now. We've been in this pandemic. So at the beginning, it was really weird and scary, and we didn't know if we would be going back to school or not. We didn't. And so something that was interesting was like we had like this weekly cabaret that we would host, and it was like everyone would come on Wednesday nights, and so it was kind of a moment of, do we keep doing it? But my friend and I, like, that he hosted with me, like, we loved it so much, and we were like, that was like item number one was like, keep it going. So we started doing it on Zoom, and it worked, and it was fun, and everybody loved it, and it was nice, and it was weird because it was like 8:30 my time because I was in California, and it was 11:30 for everybody else, and it was interesting. But so doing that and doing those things that like mean a lot to you performance wise, like just make them happen. Zoom is free. Just do it. Like it's not the end of the world. Somebody can get the pro thing. You can all split the cost. It's fine. So it was like that was kind of a big thing. Was like we just need to do it. And then like so a lot of my summers I work at a community theater in Chino as a dance teacher and a choreographer for the summer camps. And so that was like the next thing. It was like when school ended, it was like, what do we do about this? And we did it online, and it worked. It was actually like amazing being with all these kids on Zoom and like splitting them up by age group and doing, one person was teaching singing, one person was teaching dancing, one person was teaching acting. We did it the same format that we had always done it. It was just in a different way, and like trying to find ways to like do choreography over Zoom that like looked cool because it was on Zoom, and like realizing like, oh, if we do a little like sunglasses choreography, that'll be cool because we're on Zoom, and like it would look weird if we were doing it in person, but like over Zoom it totally works, and like having like a bunch of people popping with sunglasses and the soloist taking it off, like it works. And so that was kind of fun, like, and then like we filmed those shows and we live streamed them on Facebook, and all the families still got to watch the kids perform, and like that was something we were really concerned about, was like these families, like this is the one day a year like they get to see their kid in a show for some of them, because some of them weren't theater kids, like they just do this in the summers. And so it was really fun to try to figure out like how can we still make that happen. So I think the thing that's important to think is like, if there's something that you want to happen, you just have to make it happen. And yeah, you have to take a couple like losses here and there and be like, okay, we can't do this thing we usually do, we can't do this thing we usually do, but you can make something, you can make something that is amazing, and you can make something that people will still get that thing from, because at the end of the day it is still live theater. Because if you're on like a Zoom call performing live, like so many things can go wrong. And I think just like knowing like, if you want to make something happen, that means you have the ability to make it happen. If you want it bad enough, you can make it work. And like it's difficult with like doing like productions because of rights and all those things, and it's like so hard to get performance. But if you want to create something, you can create something, and you can make things work for yourself and make it so that it's something that people can still take part in. So I think that's just the really important thing to do, is like, if you want to be able to create something, if you want to create an experience, you can create the experience, and you just have to figure it out. You just figure it out, and make sure you're tailoring it for Zoom. You're not trying to recreate what a live theater experience would be like, because it's not going to be like that. You're trying to create something that works on this platform, or film something. You're trying to make a film. You're trying to post that on Vimeo. You're trying to just make something that works for the platform you're doing it on. It's not something that would particularly work for the platform that you wish it were on, But just find a platform that'll work for it and make it happen.
Make it happen. Show up, make it happen, and squeeze the sponge of experience. Like, this whole thing has been tweetable in an amazing way.
Yeah.
Sarah, you might think about going into motivational speaking too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Well, I know we need to end this. Sarah, it has been so fun to see what you're doing. Look to Sarah Hoogenraad and the things coming up. Coming up.
Cool things coming up.
Yeah,
So
we can
cool.
talk about them. But thank you so much, Sarah, for chatting with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I've missed you guys.
We miss you
too. Like,
Yep.
we should do this again because I have like 20 more questions.
Okay, I'll be down.
But
Let's do it again, like in June.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
cool.
And ask some more questions then. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you later. Bye, Mr. Newman.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.